What is going on, guys? Today we are back, and today we are testing out the Chevy 63 leaf springs that I have in the back of my 1989 Toyota pickup. Brought to you in part by Alpine Toyota. So in the last week's episode of Dirt Garage, you guys saw me install the Chevy 63s into the back of my Toyota pickup. And at the end of the video, I kind of sort of tested it on a snowbank, but you know, it's winter and icy, so it was kind of hard to get a good idea of what the new Flex is like in the rear end. So today, it's still winter and icy, but I think I found a better spot to go test out the rear end of this Toyota. And the field over there is a whole bunch of dirt piles that are kind of like moguls. So I should be able to drive over those and get a really good idea of what the Flex is like front and rear in my pickup. And if you didn't catch last week's video, the 63 kit that I used in the rear end of my Toyota is the Rough Stuff Ideal 63 kit. I'm still using the same Bilstein 5100s I used to have in the rear, and the Chevy 63s that I ended up using are essentially stock. The only difference is I removed one leaf. Since we're doing a Flex test, I figured it's only fair to let you know what's in the front end. And up here, I am using the Trail Gear IFS Eliminator kit. This truck has the solid axle swap. It is using the 3-inch leaves with 2 leaves removed to help keep it low, and my hangers are actually Frenched up into the frame rails. And with that said, let's go test it out. Well, as you can see, that went great. I made it 20 feet out. And now, I mean, I'm not super stuck, but I don't want to dig myself down and then be stuck. So for now, I'm going to winch myself out of this hole and figure out what I want to do from there. I did air down to 12 PSI. Unfortunately, I forgot to grab my air hose so that I can air up after, so I can't drop my air pressures any more than this. So, we'll figure it out. Well, that was a huge failure, but a good thing to bring up. Every time somebody asks me what mod they should do first, a winch. Self-recovery is extremely important, and I just demonstrated it there. If I had nobody to tug me out from the rear, just like I had there, I wouldn't have been able to get out on my own without this thing. So definitely, if you don't have a winch, make sure you have a winch, especially in the winter when you're out alone. All right, well, the last destination was rather embarrassing, so we moved to a different spot. This is actually where we tested out Corey's 63s when we did the swap in his truck originally. I'm gonna try to drive up onto this barrier, even though there's still a lot of ice everywhere, but yeah, we'll see how much flex there is. All right, and this is exactly what I wanted to demonstrate. I think I can get even bit more flex out of it, but the rear end is starting to drive up the ramp as well. But if you check it out, there is a massive gap on this side. And look, this tire it's planted. And if we go to the other side, the tire is now tucked up into the fender well with very little gap. testing out the new rear suspension in my Toyota pickup is proving to be difficult. So I came home and I made a thing. This is a ramp made out of tires and a 2x10. I'm gonna attempt to drive up this. This is higher than that barrier I was on, so it should give us a really good idea. I'll try to drive straight on it. This looks hilarious in my yard. But hey, this test sure did work though. So yeah, the front tire is up on top of these 3 spare tires. The front end is tucked up in there, and the rear is a lot more tucked than I've ever seen this truck. So those 63s are working perfectly. It is just at the point where the rear tire is just barely starting to lift. I can move it. It is just barely lifted there. So this is about max flex on the rear right now. And check this out. Max flex. It's just tucked pretty much as high as it can go. There's clearance there, and there's clearance here. That's awesome to see. That's another reason why I wanted to test this, the flex in this so much, is to see what is binding where. And yeah, this is proving pretty well nothing is binding. See how flat this leaf is versus this one is like fully drooped? That's awesome. Well, my homemade ramp here seemed to work actually pretty decent. A lot better than I was expecting it to. I was expecting the tires to kind of flop around or to slide forward or to shift around on me, but yeah, it held up just fine. I think in the future, I'd really like to build an actual flex ramp. Something that we can drive up and get a baseline on what the flex is before, and then drive up again after certain mods to see if we're able to actually improve anything. It would also be really great to like test the flex on all the trucks on the channel, see what flexes more with the different wheelbases or different suspension setups and, you know, stuff like that. Anyways, guys, that about wraps up this week's episode of Dirt Garage. I hope you enjoyed it. It was quite the struggle to just test the flex on my Toyota, but hey, come summer when we're out crawling again, I'll definitely be able to get some better shots for you. Anyways, guys, if you like stuff, please remember to give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and hey, I'll see you next week. Peace.